guys, Shawna Karrasch here, coming to you with another Ask Shawna answer, coming to you from the lovely Santa Fe, New Mexico, and Villanova training. Villanova training. All righty, so this question comes from Cyndie, and Cyndie says, hi, and thank you for the opportunity to ask. And yes, and thank you for submitting your questions. I love my Ask Shawna time, and I'm getting back to doing them. I had time when I wasn't doing them quite as consistently as we got kind of getting organized here, and I'm really trying to be very consistent with getting the responses out now. Okay, so Cyndie says, I have an 8-year-old Mustang who was returned numerous times for behavior issues and aggression towards other horses, mostly mares. We have had her for a year, and she is able to be haltered, led, groomed, legs picked up. She comes from turnout when called, allows us to braid her mane, apply fly spray. I can touch her anywhere, and she's fine. This is the problem. She is aggressive towards other horses. She's a 13-1 hands, but packs a powerful kick and is afraid of nothing. She's gone after mares much larger. She has never shown aggression towards people. She has mostly flight response to what scares her. A friend rode her a few times but was thrown and never got back on. I don't know if she will ever be safe riding horse, but that is okay. We knew what we were getting, and we have a thoroughbred for that. Is there any way I can work to change the aggression towards horses, or is this just an innate quality that she will always have? I appreciate your time. Cyndie, yes, and it is something you can definitely work on. My Murray came to me, and he was an off-the-track thoroughbred, and he had issues with other horses, and it was very clear it was fear. But what it looked like, well, it was aggression. It looked like aggression, but aggression typically comes from fear. Somewhere, someplace, in some time, something happened that it was a fear of not having, enough resources. It was a fear of being crowded, a fear of getting stepped on, a fear of getting hurt, a fear of, the baby being taken, whatever it might be. There can be a lot of reasons, but typically aggression comes out of fear. Now, by the time we see it, it looks very different and it can feel offensive. But really, when we stop and recognize that, it helps us to look at them with a little more empathy and going, okay, I don't know where it started or why, but there are things that we can do to help him. So Murray, as I said, was a horse who he felt like he was going to get, I imagine on the racetrack, he got, they were just too close, and that was uncomfortable for him. A lot of horses are like, whatever, but he was very sensitive, and he's like, I don't like that for whatever reason. And so what I did is so think of it like this. He is finding being aggressive to other horses more reinforcing than it is to be near other horses. So what I set out to do, it's like this. A whole lot of reinforcement on the side says keep them away, and not a lot of reinforcement on the side says that being near other horses is good. Good things might happen. So what I set out to do is to try to rebalance those scales, where pretty soon they're like, other horses are fine, they're neutral. I want to go to other horses are good, especially with one who has this history and may trigger back to that history at any time. And it's important to remember that this behavior can come out at any point in any time, no matter how much we work on it. It could still be a trigger we don't know. It could be a scent in the air for all we know. When I smell the lilac blooming is when this event happened, or whatever it might be. So we don't always know what it is. So I never let my guard down about that, but you can get it much more manageable and much more trustworthy, and most of the time you're not really seeing it. So what I set out to do is called systematic desensitization and counter conditioning, and that sounds like a really big words. I mean, it's a form of despooking, because then they're looking at new objects, new things, and they danger. Well, that's kind of what they look at when they see the horses, just the reaction is different. So instead of danger, flee, it's danger, make them go away. And they've been reinforced for chasing other horses off, other dogs, other people, whatever the situation may be. So I set out to try to make new horse, or being around horses, be a good thing. So what I started doing, and here's a little question I have for you, because Murray didn't want any horses around him. And then he could be around certain horses in turnout. So then he thought, you're okay, and you're okay. But it also told me turnout was different than when he didn't have a choice. Turnout, he can leave, he can come, he can go, he can do what he wants. But when he was under saddle or in lead line, he didn't, a lead rope, he didn't feel like he had a choice. And now he felt kind of cornered in a way, even though, he just didn't have the escape that would be maybe at his disposal. So the aggression was worse when he didn't have that. So trying to figure that out about your mare. Does she do it all the time with everybody, regardless if they're in turnout or not? And I get that you may not try her in turnout because you're like, I don't know what you'll do, and it's not worth it. So that's just something to consider. It's just information. If you know that it's not that bad in turnout, but it's awful when they're in halter and lead rope or under saddle, then that is a different situation. So if you know that they're good with specific horses in turnout, I may first start by having that other horse, who's to them a friendly horse, and have that horse walking near them or by them, because that's going to set them up for more success. And then eventually getting to horses they don't know. But that's just a consideration if that kind of fits the bill for you. So what I start doing is I try to figure out how far can the horse be near us before I start to feel tension happen. It's clearly going to be far enough away that the horse isn't going to get hurt. And if they're not showing it for some reason, I'm going to assume that I'm going to start with them outside of the immediate, outside of kicking room or running at them room or any of that. So I'm going to start, let's say I'm starting with them 20 feet away. And so Murray was worse if horses were coming up from behind. So what I would do is have them kind of come from the side a little bit if I could. So they kind of joined us on a circle, but it wasn't coming directly behind them where he felt like they're running up on him. So trying to figure out what are the factors that I can emulate or work up towards or help use to set him up for success. So knowing that right behind him was worse than kind of coming from the side, and you're kind of a little safer kicker wise, I would have a horse kind of join us on the circle from a little bit further away or even coming towards us. But some horses, that is the trigger. You got to figure these things out. But it'd be far enough away that I would, if I could think, okay, the horse is within 20 feet and you're okay, I'm going to reinforce as the horse is closest to us. So he's completely aware whether he's showing me anything or not, and I'm hopefully wanting to keep him under threshold. So I don't have him in a place where he's like, I'm mad now or I'm fearful now and I'm about to react, and I have reacted, but I'm about to act on those feelings. I want to keep it to a place where I can feel like maybe just a little bit aware, but not feeling defensive yet. And when they're closest, I click and reinforce and reinforce and reinforce and reinforce and reinforce. Meanwhile, I have that horse going away. So now the horse walks away. And so then I can slow down my reinforcement and we repeat this cycle until I can feel like when the horse is right there, I don't feel anything at all. They seem completely fine. And then I can make that circle just a little bit closer and a little bit closer. And I don't do it all in one day. I spread this out, because what we're really trying to do is classically condition the horse. Like I said, it's counter conditioning, but because it's such a bad thing right now for the horse, an unpleasant thing, a scary thing. But pretty soon I want him to go, I love being with other horses. I don't know why, but being with other horses makes me feel good. But that starts with pairing the other horse with food, 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 until they're like, I love that. So I want to address, can I come up behind you? Can I come straight on? Can I get closer? Can we go more than a walk? Can we do it first maybe on the ground, then maybe under saddle? And now can we do it at the trot in all these directions? Now can we do it at the canter? So building it up slowly until they stop looking at that situation as something they have to act on in a fearful, albeit aggressive looking way, and instead want to have them look and go, other horses being by me isn't so bad. And then the other horses being by me is kind of good, because that's a potential for reinforcement. So it's really up to us to pay a lot of attention to where the horses are in proximity and working with somebody, another horse. Now, let's say you don't have another horse you can work with, which you do because you have the thoroughbred. But let's say you didn't, or you're going to, an arena, a show or something like that, and you want to be able to work that. I wouldn't initially just go, let's just go to the show. She's been great at home. I think she'll be fine here. No, as we shift context, any little piece of the context any piece, we may lose criteria. So we may not, I might wear a purple hat one day and they've never seen me in a hat. And now they're like, I don't know. And it may get a reaction. It may not, but it is a shift in context. It could be that I'm doing it in a different arena, which I want to test all these things. I'm doing it now in a different arena or a different part of the farm. And now I'm riding in the pasture. And I really try to build up to checking all those areas and are they strong? Now let's say at home is really pretty solid, but I only have one other horse at home or maybe two. So I don't know what they'll do with a strange horse. Now we don't know that she doesn't think that horse is safe versus all horses are safe. So, but sometimes they go, being near other horses is safe. We don't know. So we need to check all those things. So now let's say you think, oh, I want to go out on the trail, or I want to go, you need to kind of set it up. Go back to where you started from, way far away. So if you want to go to a show, let's say, or even a friend's farm just to check it out, I would have maybe the horse in the arena working and you on the outside of the arena. And you can be there first 20 feet away and that horse is riding by and doing their things and you click and reinforce, watch that reaction and keep trying to build towards more and more relaxation. So by starting with them under threshold, so we started far enough away that relaxation should be fine. And I can reinforce that. And as they get a little closer, they may just go, okay, I'm up a little bit. I'm still going to reinforce, but I'm going to look for the times when he goes, okay. And she lets go of that tension and really reinforce when I feel the physical tension subside or let go, or it's a little less, it's a softening. It doesn't even have to be completely soft yet. It's a shaping process to get that relaxation and softness, even with the presence of other horses. And then when that's going good, get a little bit closer and a little bit closer and a little bit closer. So set it up like you did at home, but you're setting it up being further away. And you can be the one working on it, where you're outside of the arena at first. And then I would, again, see if you can't get a friend that can go with you and help you to create and emulate that situation in a new place. Anyway, so that's some food for thought for that situation. And it's, of course, there's a lot of factors to suss out if you can, and a lot of things that you can change. But there can be a certain, I'm not going to say there is, but there can be a certain, we don't know what the situation is that created this. And so it could be something to do that is a little bit more resource guarding. Maybe it was a baby, maybe her mom was like this with other mares, protecting her from the babies, and she learned this. And so we just need to work and teach them that that's not necessary and that's what you don't need to do. But what I've seen in the past with working with this, you really change how they feel about it. And they get really, really where they're like, I'm good. But I still know there might be a trigger that I don't know that might set them back. So I'm just careful. I don't just set them off, go, yeah, it's fine. Go ahead and ride them anywhere. I kind of go, hey, going to be pretty good, but watch, those little pieces there. So I get a little protective of it, but it definitely is something that you can change the emotions and change the feeling of other horses being there. Anyway, so that's a great question, Cyndie, and I hope that helps you. And if you have more questions, or you just want to give me an update, because it's been a little while, I would love to hear how it's gone and how you're doing with her and how your little mighty gal is. Anyway, so if you have more questions, you know how to get a hold of me. If anybody else has questions and you don't know how to get a hold of me, you can go to my website, ShawnaKarrasch.com, which is linked up with the VillaNovaTraining.com. And on my side, you're going to see something that says Ask Shawna. It's a tab. Hit that tab, and that's where you can submit your questions, and I will answer them via video because I enjoy them. Anyway, so and also so that's how you get a hold of me. But I also want to reiterate for you, Cyndie, on my podcast, Equine Clicker 101, there is I do have one about de-spooking. And I do have one about under saddle and spookiness and giving them, the sensitive horse, something to do. And both of those, even though it seems a little bit different, it is the same behavioral process. So it may give you some ideas. Just plug in, instead of afraid of the jacket on the fence, kind of afraid of the other horses. And just so plug it in a little bit differently, but it is a way to get through that. And also giving her alternative behaviors that are constructive is what I really do with the under saddle portion of that. So you're going to have to go to, again, you can go to my website and look for the podcast page, and you can scroll through, but it's like 50 episodes now, so it's a lot, which is great. I love that because they're lessons. They really are lessons. But you can go down and there's a little like topic search. So you can look under the different topics and see if you can't find, let's see, they're somewhere, those two. And I think they'll help you. And so there you go. That's it. All right, you guys, I hope that helps you out. Coming to you from Villanova. Bye-bye.